Welcome to the weekend culture. Welcome to the weekend culture. Welcome to the weekend culture. We push back, push back.
John, you're gone. Why'd you disappear?
What?
Your camera. Your
Huh.
camera turned off.
Weird.
I mean, we can hear you, but we can't see you. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Oh, John dropped out now. Maybe he'll be back. Welcome, everyone, to Honey Badger Arcade. My name is Brian, and hopefully I'll be here with John, problematic white guy. And this is the Weekend Culture, where we talk about the cultural news of the week and attempt to dig a little bit deeper. So I hope you guys are doing well and everything is good. I'm going to basically try to hang in there until John shows up before I start. But let me give a shout out to the people that are watching really quick. Hello to Raging Rat, Mr. 0303, Deadly Do Right says nice intro. It's okay. I kind of you know, I wouldn't say it's a rush job, but I'm working with very limited tools. So I'll just put it that way. You know, I don't have a lot of money to work with, so I got to like try and get all of the free things that I'm able to, because I can't afford to do anything fancy. But yeah, it's not bad. It's not psyop anime. They're awesome. But yeah, John will be back hopefully. Up there he is. And let me see. Yeah, nobody can hear you right now. Hold on a second. Let me plug you in first. Maybe I have to do it. I have to do this over. So give me a second. No, you're good. You're good. What was it? Your internet that went down?
I can only, it was weird because like nothing changed for me. I still saw the studio and everything, so I was like, I'll just log out and log back in, and hopefully that'll fix it. Thankfully, it did. So
yeah, kind of weird, but we're good. We're good. We're all back now. So anyway, yeah, I was just doing a little intro. So once again, thanks to everybody who's joining the stream. It looks like we got a stronger Rumble presence this time, which is also nice to see. Although people on YouTube are totally welcome. A second host has struck the podcast. Saltpeter Taffy. Hello, Toasty with the Mosty, 69. Yeah, so we have a lot to get to today, and I have a hard out at no later than 1. I'd like to get a little bit before that because I have to meet with another client about another project that I'm working on.
All right.
So
I will try not to waffle on things.
No, it's all right. I don't have a lot of stories. But they are big ones. So yeah. So this week, hello, Master Goa, welcome to the show. This week we're going to be talking about Mixtape. We're going to be talking about Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. We're going to be talking about I wouldn't say resurgence, but now that I've been doing Gamergate for, 12 years, 13 years or so, we're basically seeing the old faces returning, and I'm just pointing and saying, yeah, yes, this is real. This has always been the case.
Yep. And
I guess on the one end of it too, it's vindicating. But it's also a little bit frustrating because I don't think people are taking this stuff seriously enough.
I spent I can say for the last 2 years I've been talking about the carousel of bullshit about, don't get too caught up in the momentary names and faces of the week. Once you kind of identify who these people are, you need to just know that they are in the industry and they don't just go away because we complain. They may go under the radar for a while, but never go away.
No, not at all.
So, yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna be talking a little bit about that, and also some kind of exciting news as well. Some good things that are happening because we're not the only ones that are frustrated with the state of our culture, and there is definitely people, even some people, that are making moves at the upper end and at the bottom level. So I have a lot of interesting and exciting things to share. So please, give this stream a like. Help me spread the word. Help me reach more people. Yes, because Gamergate is not. It's a never-ending thing. It's not something that is just going to be over because you got a couple of journalists to retract some statements. That's not the issue. The issue is it is ultimately a spiritual battle we're in. That is to say, we are fighting for the spirit of our times, like the sort of like cultural zeitgeist. And there are people who want to steer it a certain way, and there are people who want it to be left alone. And we're the ones that want it to be left alone, because the way it always worked is basically the way it should be. So anyway, with all that said, I think we should just go ahead and get into today's stories. So first, we got to talk about Mixtape. So I made a video about this on my channel already, saying that Mixtape is not even a game. But it's not. It's just not a game at all. You should apologize to walking simulators like Gone Home and Firewatch for saying that those were not games, because this is really not a game. but let's talk a little bit about it, because that's not really the meat of the issue here. Okay, so Mixtape, if you guys don't know, is a narrative adventure story experience, not a game, developed by a small Australian studio, Beethoven and Dinosaur. By the way, Beethoven and Dinosaur, holy Reddit, Batman. That's the most Reddit name for a studio ever. But it was released on May 7th. And the story follows three high school friends on their last night together, told through memories triggered by a licensed 90s alt-rock soundtrack with short mini games, which aren't really games because you can't fail them, and stylized visuals. And it runs for about 2.5 hours. The whole game is 2.5 hours long.
Yeah. Just long enough to ensure you can't get a refund.
Yeah. The game received strong reviews from critics. What I'm saying is positive reviews, like IGN and these big companies.
They gave it like
IGN
a 10.
gave it a perfect what?
They gave it a 10. Yeah,
They gave it a 10.
score.
IGN gave it a perfect score. Yes, they gave. Look, let's back up for a second. IGN gave, I think Black Myth Wukong got like a 6, and Crimson Desert got a 7, and this game got a 10. So that's like it was like a Rotten Tomatoes score. It was
I think I have figured it out. They are quite literally adding diversity points to these scores.
They're adding what?
Diversity points.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, they are literally just saying, "Oh, well, diversity points +2, +3, whatever." And I'm sure some of these games have diversity points that would make them even higher than a 10. But 10 is just where they set the max. So.
Yeah. So the game's like 2.5 hours long, and again, it got lots of praise. I want to get into a little bit of some of the myths behind it being like this indie title that organically just rose to prominence out of nowhere. Like all of that is bullshit. But before we do though, you can just watch the game on YouTube. It's like I said, 2.5 hours long. There's a great channel called Sirocco that does basically they do playthroughs of games. Most of the time they look at really good ones, like Bloodborne and stuff. And they will have it with no commentary and you can just watch it. And they did this game. You can just watch the whole thing. Because literally the mini games, essentially the gameplay loop is you're in your room and you walk around and you interact with objects in the room, and your two friends are there, and it activates a memory, which activates a mini game, which you cannot fail at. So it's a mini game that isn't really a mini game, because if you fail it, it just moves you. If you do something wrong, it just moves you back right before you made the mistake. So make sure you get through it, right? And you can't control the outcome. You don't make any decisions. It literally is. I remember I was talking to Grok, right? And I was like, is this a game? And Grok was like, yeah, it's a game. And I was like, so how do you affect the outcome? And it was like, well, you don't. It's just kind of an experience. And I was like, so then would you say, and well, actually Grok said, it's like a choose your own adventure book. It tells a story. And I was like, yeah, but in choose your own adventure books, you can die. I used to read those, right? You can make the wrong choice and it'll kill you in the book, right? And Grok was like, you know what? You're right. It's not a game because you can't affect any outcome at all. Like even Heavy Rain, like the David Cage games, for whatever you want to say about them, there's like usually a bunch of different endings, right?
Oh yeah, there are branching storylines and everything. Yeah, this doesn't even do that. Yeah.
Yeah, so like if you don't, so even David Cage's game, which David Cage games, which I guess I'm hesitant to call games only insofar as I don't feel like they are games you can get better at, and I feel like there's something about games where you improve at them that makes them games. You know, like if you play baseball and you get better at baseball, then you can hit the ball more often, hit it further, catch better, whatever. But if it's just like purely narrative driven, and in the David Cage game specifically, you can fail at everything and still tell the story. You can do everything wrong. You can put the controller down and it'll still play the story. You'll just get like, I guess one of the worst endings or whatever.
Yeah, I saw quite a few people who demonstrated that bit by just starting a video, showing their controller, and then just getting out of frame and then coming back like 2 minutes later while the game section just plays itself out. There's like, there you go. That's the game.
Yeah. So, like what I'm saying, even narrative adventure games like David Cage games are games compared to Mixtape. Even walking simulators, like I mentioned, they at least, there's, well, I mean, they're barely games because like they also don't, I think that Gone Home, for example, always has the same ending. Maybe you'll find like a secret area, but it doesn't change anything.
Right.
But this is less than all of those things. It literally is a soundtrack. It's like a giant, like 2-hour music video, anthology, sort of, and that's it. That's the whole thing. And the thing is, when it comes to like one of the things I've seen, and I did say this in my video, but I'm going to reiterate here. People were saying that, well, at least it's not woke. Being that, it doesn't have like DEI characters in it. It doesn't have like, it's not taking a stand, politically on anything. They're not like talking about, Palestine. They're not talking about capitalism. They're not talking about racism or white supremacy or patriarchy. So therefore it's not woke. And it's like, yeah, but.
Hey, right. Well, that's modern day woke. This is woke set in a non-woke era, so they found a way to still get that shit in there, even though, because this is talking about a time in the 90s, people that we're both well worn in terms of our experience in this world, and I think both of us remember the 90s from beginning to end, and this is not that.
Well, what I think makes it woke is not of the surface level identity politics stuff.
Right.
It's rather a couple of things. One is the main character the characters are all just like hedonists, immature, childlike hedonists that just want to like, be like free man and like do drugs and like have, premature sex and stuff, which is really weird. They have that, tongue wrestling simulator in the game when you're playing like underage characters.
Is a bit of a
bit weird.
It's a choice to say the least.
The game is not marketed to kids. Like I was talking to Lindsay about it, my wife.
Right.
And she was like, "Well, what if it's for kids?" And I was like, "No. This is like this. They have foul language in it. It's like I don't know what the rating is, but like they're the themes are not for children, despite the fact that the game features underage teenagers, right?" So,
yes, intended to be nostalgia bait.
Yeah. And I'm not condemning that per se. Like, I don't think that's the worst offense. Right. But I think that the way that it's woke that people underestimate, and this is actually the most important way, is that it undermines what a game is completely. Like, it basically says, well, what even is a game, bro?
Right.
And so, in a way, it's trying to set a new bar or what qualifies as a video game, which is essentially taking control away from players. And I've been seeing that creeping into gaming for a long time. I remember when Gamergate started, right? I used to hang out a lot with this YouTuber named Sour Grape. And she was a friend of mine. She lived in the area when I lived in Chicago. She lived in Illinois, but like kind of out in the burbs. and we hung out a couple of times, and I would like hang out with her on her streams. Now she's like a VTuber named Sawa-sama, I think. Very funny girl. She's great, but she and I would look at indie games like on itch.io of like hopeful game developers, and they were like the woke games that from people who weren't in the industry yet. And so they were like, you know, feminist simulators, trans simulators, things like this. All of them very simple because we're looking at like people that were learning how to get involved. Right. But almost all of them had no, like you had no agency. There was one, it was basically about like sexual harassment in the workplace. Not kidding. And all you could do was sit there at your desk as a woman, and then like, you know, men would come over and make comments or like make passes at you, or hit on you, and you just had to endure it because it was supposed to teach you, you know, about, and we were both like, but this isn't even a game. Like you can't do anything. You're basically just like an object. Literally, they make you into the object so that you can feel like an object. And we just thought it was retarded. But now those people are making games. Like they're making games that then the journalists come out and give 10 out of 10 scores to. So that's like where we're at now. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. It reminds me of the deconstruction of the superhero.
It is. It's the deconstruction of what a video game is. Exactly.
Right. So yeah, they're trying to undermine the whole capacity of people learning pattern recognition. Would be one of my main, you know, kind of hypotheses of what all this stuff is about, is just because a lot of their struggle that they've had in the last 15, 20 years, they've been setting this stuff up to implement it and, you know, go into this area of media and turn it into everything else like they do, homogenizing it with bullshit and, you know, messaging and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, that's exactly when you talk about what is the wokeness, it really is kind of, you know, it manifests in various ways, you know, through the checkboxing, the diversity hire kind of stuff. Those are the manifestations. But yes, the deconstruction of the thing at the source, that is kind of like, that is one of the coal cars of the train that is you know, diversity that's just barreling down the tracks into the game industry. So yeah, it's one of the main motivators in all of this.
Yeah, everything is deconstruction now. Everything is postmodernism, and it's all, the purpose of all of it is to demoralize you, to make you think that there is no. It's not just you mentioned superheroes. It's not superheroes. It's just heroes in general.
Right.
It's anything that asserts itself and wants to affect the world. It's attacking that kind of like the masculine urge to change the world for the better. That's what's being attacked. Right. That's why they're basically creating experiences. And they call them that. I don't know if you guys have heard the language around what a video game is change even over the last 10, 15 years. They've been calling them experiences rather than games, or they've been trying to use those terms interchangeably, because games are something that you either you get good at or you suck at. Like there's a skill, you know, there's like a skill level that's expected of you. So you have to get good at them. There is, you are an agent in them. This makes it different from any other medium where, you know, you can affect things. And generally they are something that men like. Like men are the overwhelming majority of gamers. Don't at me with the stats. I know what women are playing. It's fucking Candy Crush. But, or Farm, or some kind of like, you know, like Stardew Valley or something. But
cozy games, things like that.
Yeah, and look, there's a place for those. I don't care. Like I don't even care.
Right, but I wouldn't. You could be in the gaming space playing those games, but I wouldn't.
I wouldn't call you a gamer.
That does not make you a gamer.
Yeah. So, but like, you know, I think that there's always been this shift, and I don't know if you guys have heard me say this before, but I've said that they're trying to take the gaming industry and turn it into Hollywood. One of the ways you do that is you take away the agency, because Hollywood is all about feeding you stories, right? Feeding you stories that have a specific, you're supposed to feel a certain way about, you're supposed to have a certain view of the world about, based on what they choose to tell you, what they choose not to tell you, and how they choose to tell you the story. Video games kill that because they let you decide how that plays out in many cases, right? And the ones that men like to play often involve their protagonist doing something to affect the world and change it, most of the time for the positive. Like whether you are, a ninja defeating a bunch of demons like in Ninja Gaiden, or if you are Alucard in Castlevania Symphony of the Night, you're going to defeat Dracula, whatever it is, right? Link, think of whatever the game is, doesn't matter. You're usually up against something and you're trying to defeat it, right? They don't like that because unless, of course, they can make that and somehow subvert that also, which they often do as well. So let's talk about like the company that made this. So the game is developed by a studio called Beethoven and Dinosaur. And it was published by Annapurna Interactive. Annapurna Interactive is founded by Megan Ellison. Okay.
That's a familiar name.
Megan Ellison is. So
that's a Nepo baby.
100%. Megan Ellison is daughter of billionaire Larry Ellison. He's like one of the richest guys in the world. And he basically is one of the people that runs Hollywood. I'll let you all just conclude whatever you want from that. Co-founder,
also highly invested in Palantir. Not that should give anybody any concerns in this day and age.
Co-founder of Oracle as well.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, like the game also received about I want to say just under $100,000 from the Australian government. So this is basically Pathways Australia. That's another one to consider. I think it was Victoria. They're based out of. That's Victoria in Australia.
Yeah.
So you're getting government money. You're backed by Megan Ellison, founder of Annapurna, who is the daughter of Larry Ellison. And also Larry Ellison bailed out his daughter Megan because she also was getting involved with film. Like I think they worked on Skydance and Paramount, which is part of Paramount now. And so, that's all connected as well. And it's also worth pointing out, just as an aside, that Larry Ellison has donated tens of millions of dollars to the Friends of the Israel Defense Forces, a nonprofit that supports Israeli soldiers. This includes a record $16.6 million donation in 2017 and a $10 million donation in 2014 used for training facilities, scholarships, and benefits for IDF troops. Just saying, as an aside. And isn't it weird? I mean, isn't it? Why would you be so interested in a non-game like this? And you also had these other involvements, these other entanglements, as it were. The noticing will continue until morale improves. Is all I will say about that.
Right, exactly. Yes,
so, any other thoughts on this before, John? You want to say anything else about this before I move on to the next story? And you guys in the chat also let me know what you guys want to say.
Well, I mean, it's just it reminds me of 2 years ago when I was doing my search into what I could find out about Kim Belair at the time, and all the stuff that I found out with her involvements with Ubisoft specifically to set up all the a lot of the funding models that are currently in play and all of this kind of shit. So yeah, the whole idea that these are indie games, that has been well exposed for a couple of years now about how that is the furthest thing from these games, as you mentioned, they profit off the front end. This is not even about selling a game to anybody who is looking to purchase it. They're wanting to sell this to like fucking schools and shit like that. Find ways that they can get get this into more spaces where it can be acceptable and just kind of seen as like something that will help kids. Maybe not this game specifically, but just like the whole concept behind these things on how they go about setting them about, because they just want things that are pre-approved, because they're effectively just pulling the one world government line of messaging, and we are clearly very much within the corridor of them trying to tighten the noose through all these data centers and all the other bullshit to just make people just passive in life. And I think that's a lot of the idea too on trying to make the games themselves more passive, is to just kind of train people in their level of interactivity or lack thereof. And so they're just trying to teach people to just sit back and just take it. Yeah, these are humiliation rituals.
Yes, it is. It is exactly a humiliation ritual, just like the other things we're going to get into on the show today. So, well, I guess what I would say is, if you come across people claiming that Mixtape is not woke, let's just remind them that, like, if you attack what a video game is, like what the concept of that is, full stop. Even if people enjoy it, like if you enjoy it, like if you're somebody who's like, oh, I like the trip down memory lane, I liked experiencing this kind of nostalgia, whatever, that's fine. But don't tell me it's a game. That's like, you know, pissing down my back and telling me it's raining, as the Brits like to say, because it's not a game. Like it can be, you can like it, I don't care, but you don't need it to be a video game. And I think that this is like a byproduct of like when video games were very, let's say, like kind of like considered to be nerdy, and like they were a little bit looked down on, like people who played them. You remember those days? I remember those days when you were looked down on for being a gamer, when gaming wasn't mainstream. And there were people in the industry that really badly wanted to be validated. They really wanted, you know, gaming to be taken seriously. Well, guess what? Here we are, and this is what's happened. So now you're going to get the video game equivalent of Oscar bait, which is what this is. They made this so they can win, like, the GDC awards or whatever they give out, like the game awards with the Dorito Pope. It's probably going to get nominated, if not win an award. And the reason why they do that is so they can paste it all over the box art, or at least, like, you know, the place where you digitally download it, you get the license for it, as an award-winning game to sell more, just like they do with movies. They literally say this movie won an Oscar because they think, and it probably is true to some degree, that when something is nominated or wins awards, more people want to watch it because they want to be in the cool kids club of people who like to watch high quality, highbrow content. So they go do that, right?
Yes, this is entertainment for overeducated idiots. And speaking of GDC, just as a little side note, the GDC Vault for 2026 sessions has just gone live. So if you want to go do a little bit of research into all the weird fuckery that went about in California a couple months back, they do have a good chunk of it available to watch for free now.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look at that later.
Yeah.
I do have one thing that came out of the GDC that I thought was interesting. But yeah, so if you come across that, just remind them that, you know, you can like it if you want to, but don't call it a game. And remind them also that if you subvert the very definition of what a game is, then you are contributing to the problem, because it will get to a point, at least in like the studios that are willing to do this, where games will take away more and more of player choice. And you've already seen that in some ways, right? This is why, like, a lot of people are going back to play older games, because older games actually give you more freedom in a lot of ways, you know?
Yeah. They kind of had to. They didn't have the internet to sit there and fucking monitor every little fucking thing that you do and listen, you know, with their listener bots, just data tracking everything.
Yeah, for sure. So so that's the thing about Mixtape. That's why it's doing so well. It's being promoted. It's not doing well. It's not selling well. we can look at those numbers later, but yeah, it's probably. Oh, and did you guys know that in order to, I guess, guarantee they were going to get really good review scores, they sent like crazy care packages. So this is like how I'm going to debunk the idea that this is an indie game.
Well, there's a couple
of reasons. Yeah, one is the massive care packages, which came with like CD player, a bunch of swag, and the game to like, and they just totally dressed it up as like a retro thing, right? Right. And also the fact that they were able to afford the fucking licenses for this, like it doesn't even have a streamer mode on it.
Right.
This is like, so, you know, what I have the Guardians of the Galaxy game, okay? And in the Guardians of the Galaxy game, which is a pretty good game, by the way, I enjoyed it. for what it
Mhm.
was. The Guardians of the Galaxy game has a soundtrack of a bunch of songs from the 70s and 80s on it.
Right.
You can activate something called streamer mode, which essentially eliminates the songs that will get you like, copyright struck on like Twitch or YouTube, and it'll remove like a good chunk of the songs because
Yeah,
the
they did the
folks
same thing in Cyberpunk 2077.
Cyberpunk, yes, and I think Metal Gear Solid 5 has a bunch of music. I don't know if they have a streamer mode for that, but
I think that
this
might have
game-
been before the days because
that might have been before
GTA,
that.
sorry, Metal Gear V is definitely getting up there in age. I think because it was coming out right at kind of the cusp of all this stuff
Yeah,
into fruition. But yeah, there are certain games that if they have a lot of licensed tracks, they'll give you a way to not have to worry about having your streams demonetized. But I think to me, the real insidious one here was already mentioned, the Ellison Group. This is a guy. He is a media mogul,
yes.
which means beyond just one form of media, all forms of media, and they all synergistically are aimed towards the same end. And so all they have to do is just go and put it in one of the agencies of his overall media network. And this is why you always see properties that come out always have great reviews, if for no other reason. It's because there's only a few people left in the world, in this oligarchy that we're living in, that actually have the power to motivate entire media networks, be it print, or audio, like on the radio, or video on TV, or what the hell ever. They have all of that, and so they're going to set about their agents to voice the agency of the organization. And so, yeah, the lack of agency is one of the most woke things that is in play in the world itself, because the very idea of who you are as a free-willed individual with free agency, that is the thing that is ultimately under attack.
Yeah, and you can tell that's where the money is. Like, they were able to afford to basically make it to where you could just stream this game and you wouldn't get copyright struck because they paid for it. They paid for every song on there. So that just lets you know there's definitely like a lot of money involved with this. So let's take a look at what you guys are saying, and we're gonna move on to the next story. But yeah, definitely not an indie game. It's completely astroturfed, involving nepo babies and like IDF involvement, which is kind of interesting. So
yeah, this is more of a corporate backed experience than any kind of independent game.
Yeah, and not a game also. Like, it's the anti-game. It's the anti-game.
Right.
Okay, so let's see what you guys are saying here. Salt Peter Taffy says postmodernism is just fear of commitment. Yes, that's true. Good way to put it. Murder of Crows says passive consumption. Raging Rat says Hollywood is a zombie now. They want to make video games into a zombie. Yes. Well, so like nobody goes to see movies anymore, and they think it's because everyone's playing video games now, or they're on social media, or listening to podcasts, and that's part of it. But mostly it's because movies are shit now. So
yeah, and I would just to your statement, it's not that they want to make these things into a zombie. They want to make you into a zombie, and these are just the tentacles that they're using to kind of wrap you up in, so that
it's how you spread the infection.
That's right.
Norwegian says, who knows? Master Goa says, I hear they messed up the actual mechanics of how a cassette tape works. Oh, I don't know, maybe. Well, these people don't. The thing is, it's a studio based out of Australia that's trying to like represent American 90s culture. So this takes place in like Portland or some area in like the
Pacific
American
Northwest.
Northwest somewhere. It's a made up place, but it's basically like Portland or Seattle, because that was like the 90s thing, was like grunge and Seattle and shit. So like the people who made this don't even know, there weren't even Americans. Like, that's the thing that like kind of annoys me, right? Murder Crow says it's a music video. Yeah, it's basically that. Let's see. Raging Rat says, yes, the player choice will be like in Fallout 4. Yeah, I'm gonna play through that one, and I've never played Fallout 4, but I'm gonna play through it to give my thoughts.
If you play it as an action adventure game first,
It's fine.
it's
Yeah, don't think of it as an
right,
RPG.
but don't think of it as a
Yeah.
RPG.
No, I know, because it was made by the guys that did like the Sniper Elite games, which are good games, but
yeah.
Okay. Murder of Crows says the CD player and headphones are worth over $300 retail. By the way, yeah, that again, he did spared no expense. You know.
Mhm.
Saltpeter Taffy says Mixtape's music licenses are apparently in perpetuity, so the game won't get delisted for copyright reasons. They must have paid a fortune. There you go. All right. Well, thank you for your comments, guys. Give me your thoughts after the show in the comment section as well. We're going to move on to the next story. So now we got to talk about the Odyssey. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Oh, man. This is going to be a fucking train wreck. So The Odyssey is an upcoming film adaptation of Homer's ancient Greek poem, Not Really, and we'll get to that in a second, scheduled for release on July 17th. It stars Matt Damon as Odysseus, with Anne Hathaway as Penelope, Tom Holland as Telemachus, and Zendaya as Athena, Lupita Nyong'o as Helen of Troy, and Clemenstra, which is like, so she's playing two characters in a dual role, and a large ensemble, including Robert Pattinson, Charlize Theron, and Travis Scott. Travis Scott as a bard. Elliot Page is also in the cast as an undisclosed supporting role.
Yes.
So
highly suspected to be Achilles or the ghost of Achilles. Which
so you might say there's been a little bit of backlash over some of these choices. Now, look, I'm sorry to tell you, if you're a Christopher Nolan fan, the guy is woke as fuck. I'm sorry to break your balls for that. Some people thought he was based because he gave us like the Batman movies. Specifically, was it like Dark Knight Rises, where the billionaire goes up against the communists?
But again, the deconstruction of the superhero. Yes. So again, that's that.
Well, it's not quite a deconstruction, but it is a disenchantment, which is arguably worse, because you're basically saying the thing about Nolan is he's a very he's a materialist person. He sees everything as, you need to have what's the word? You need to have an explanation for everything. Mm-hmm. So he did this with Batman Begins. Now, I like Batman Begins. It's one of my favorite Batman movies, but not because of all the stuff that Nolan did with explaining where Batman comes from, because I felt like he spent so much time on that. And I know why, because it's like he's dealing with an audience, and he himself, they believe that if something exists that sounds silly, it has to be explained in the most grounded way possible. Otherwise, nobody will buy it. And the problem with that, it doesn't leave any room for the imagination to wander. It doesn't leave any room for the mystery. It doesn't, it takes itself too seriously. Can you really take Batman that seriously? But he did. He tried to do that.
Right. And I would put Disenchantment right up there in the whole, umbrella of deconstruction, because
it is. Yeah.
The removal of the mystery, that is one of the reasons why people enjoy film, cinema, stories in general. I could do a whole time won't allow for it today, but David Lynch, just looking to David Lynch, and that is how people go about making some visual art that just allows for you as the viewer to have an experience and take something away that he's not going to tell you whether you're right or wrong.
Just allow things to be over the top and magical and wondrous. I love Clash of the Titans, and I think it's a good movie. I watched the old Ray Harryhausen Jason and the Argonauts. Yes. Or there were mythological monsters. He fights a Hydra in it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like in the modern Hollywood, they'd be like, well, we can't have a Hydra. We have to explain that somehow. Let's just make it a bunch of snakes, and they just think it's a Hydra. Right.
Which is hilarious, because the best example of a Hydra, the many-headed monster, is the very agencies that are doing all this fuckery in the system and creating these media networks of bullshit.
Yeah. So So anyway, he was woke, okay, and one of the evidences for this is that he went to the women's march, like he was there with the pussy hat wearers. That was like, you know, he supported that stuff. And I don't know if there's any Christopher Nolan fanboys in the audience, and it's, you know, if you're, it's cool. I like some of his movies. I think his best movie is actually like The Prestige.
Oh,
it's probably
Prestige
because
is
it's an
fucking
adaptation.
fantastic. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
before he became Christopher Nolan. It was one of the
Well,
movies that made him into
it was after his Batman movies, wasn't it? Or maybe one of them.
let's see.
Definitely after
it was
Memento
right.
and following.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember which one was first, but they were right around the same point in time because that's the reason why.
Yeah.
Why he's in both movies.
Yeah. Because that's why
Christian Bale. Yeah, Christian Bale's in both.
And what's his name?
Oh fuck, Alfred.
Yeah. Why am I forgetting his name? But yeah, that's why they're both in that. So, Saltpeter Taffy says David Lynch should have made at least one children's film. What could have been? That would have been wild. So anyway,
he actually
Michael
does
Caine,
have
thank you, Deadly. Michael Caine, yeah.
He does have
Michael
one
Caine.
that does. Yeah, he does have one movie that can function as a children's movie. It's called the Straight Story, and it's about a guy riding on a riding lawnmower across country. It's probably like the most approachable thing he's ever put out, but even still within that, there's kind of like the whole. You know what? I'm not gonna get into a David Lynch rabbit hole right now. So
Yeah. No, let's not. Okay.
But yeah.
So anyway, firstly, yes, he was woke. That's just like that's not debatable, and it likely influenced his his decision making through this film. The other thing is the casting problem. So let's get into the casting. We have to, like, the elephant in the room, the big black elephant in the room. Well, not really big, but so he chose to take the most Helen of Troy, the most beautiful woman, so beautiful, she was like the face that launched 1,000 ships, right? She was the reason for the war, and cast Lupita Nyong'o to play her.
And
Not
she
saying
is
Lupita Nyong'o's not attractive.
reason for the war.
I'm not saying she's not attractive,
No.
but she's like African as fuck. Like it's complete. It's bait. It's got to be bait. It's got to be specifically rage bait to get people angry in the hopes that the controversy will sell tickets. I can't think of another reason to do it.
That and they completely undermine the point of the story by going and changing to where she is both sisters because they're twins. So if they look exactly the same, why the fuck are these people fighting? Like, you know, it's like, oh, we got
I
this
know
chick.
that's also wild. Like, I thought she was supposed to be exceptional in some way.
Right.
I even like looked into it. Like the sister isn't supposed to look the same as Helen.
Right.
Like she's just a sister. Like she's just
right.
another
That's the
person.
whole point of the battles and
Yes.
and the war is, you know, like this desire for the most exalted, you know, object, this in this case being a person, you know, but that was like supposed to be the thing, is like these kingdoms are fighting over this woman because she's so precious.
Yeah. And there's no excuse. Like there are this is the thing that I don't know. Some people have said, and I think it's a ridiculous argument. So don't assume that I support this as an argument. But some people have said that they are casting these people because they are more well-known faces, and you need like familiar faces to sell tickets, right? Like, oh, Tom Holland, right? Zendaya as Athena, or at least we think it's Athena. Some people are saying it's not. We don't know for sure, but I think it's generally accepted that she's playing Athena. I don't think there are gods in the movie though, because the thing is, I feel like it's going to be disenchanted to the extent that the supernatural stuff is going to be downplayed in some way, or there's going to be like some kind of like scientific materialist.
Oh yeah, you'll be having to like take like some kind of incense, you know, kind of thing to have these spirit walks or some kind of crazy shit. They'll love to make everything like.
I mean, and even if he did leave that stuff in, there's a lot of other issues. So we have problems with the casting, like I mentioned, Helen of Troy. Travis Scott, the rapper that got some people killed at one of his concerts, is apparently going to be playing some kind of bard in the movie. And You guys heard Nolan's reasoning for that. The reason why he put like a rapper, like a mumble rap tattoo face guy in the movie, as opposed to, I don't know, any Greek actor, anyone Mediterranean that can act.
Well, don't you know that rappers are the bards of the modern day?
Yeah. Like, oh, you know, it's an oral poem, so it's basically rap. It's basically the same thing.
This is how we ended up with Gladiator 2.
How old is this story? Like 2000 plus? It's like 2,600 years old.
It's older than our tracking.
And Nolan is like,
time.
I know how to do this better than Homer did. The arrogance on these people is insane. Like any modern writer or screenwriter, director, anything, if they're gonna adapt a fucking classic, they should have so much reverence for the people. Like, how many stories do you think have been told since Homer's Odyssey that no one remembers because they weren't good enough? And and this one, out of very few stories, have managed to stand the test of time to today. Like one of very few, if you think about it, you know?
Oh yeah, well, it's like this weird arrogance of modernism, right? You know, like modern is always better. But you just go and look at like say look at a Pizza Hut from 1990s, or even a fucking McDonald's with their ball pits. That shit don't exist no more, and that was just 30 years ago. You know, that they've gone and made these overly sterile things. But then, like, you know, there's other examples throughout history when people used to build things. They used to be built as like, you know, these sites of just majesty and wonder and just accomplishment and actual dedication of craft and mastery, and, you know, people bringing their best. And so, like, just a simple water tower will look like a fucking, like, you know, fortress, you know, or something fucking amazing that's just like, you'll be awestruck. And then now everything today, they just they get rid of all the flavor and taste and the what the hell ever. In the name of diversity, everything becomes muted and beige and pasty. You know, it's just, nothing can be good. It all has to be able to be explained away and just easily approachable.
So Travis Scott is gonna be in the movie, a fucking rapper. We're gonna assume that he's gonna act about as well as any other rapper that's crossed over in the film. So get ready for something like Ludacris. I don't know. Like, I mean, I like Ludacris, but I wouldn't want him to be in the fucking Odyssey. Then you have like people speculating about Elliot Page. So Elliot Page is in the movie. We've seen her in the trailer. And I'm gonna just say her. Sorry.
Yeah, I've seen her in the memes, which are even better.
Yes. I understand that she did like try to get the part of Achilles. We have like a clip here of the attempt. So let's take a look at this really quick. All right, hold on a second. I gotta get the audio because we gotta see the audio. So
you gotta get it in its full glory.
No, it's fine. All right, let's do this again. This is the screen test of Achilles with Elliot Page. R.I.P. headphone users. Okay.
I love those.
So unfortunately, you know, she's just gonna be playing another role. I gotta. Somebody's like making spam, putting spam in the chat, so I'm gonna have to like delete this forever. Sorry, don't come in here dropping links.
Yeah,
I'm gonna share fucking viruses with my audience. But yeah, so she is going to be playing like I don't know, some undisclosed character. We don't know for sure. But it doesn't matter because, again, Nolan he's sending mixed messages. On the one hand, he's like concerned about like accuracy, right? And of course his justifications, like for example saying that, oh, you know, epic poems are basically rap music, so I'm going to use this because that's me like rationalizing like the choices I'm making, and you're not allowed to criticize. Also, you know, he thought the idea of the Trojan horse being like this big wooden thing on wheels and was being given as a gift is silly. So he does it another way where like the Trojans find it in the water and they just pull it up on the beach. This is what I'm told. So he changed the Trojan horse too. These are completely arbitrary decisions made by an arrogant asshat, in my opinion. It's basically saying, I know what the story needs more than fucking Homer or any of the people who basically like, you know, honored his work from that point on. Because even though Homer didn't explicitly describe the Trojan horse as being on wheels, he didn't go into detail on it. The artwork of the Trojan horse being something on wheels is like 2,000 years old or more. Like, I think it was like 500 BC is like the earliest artistic depiction of the Trojan horse.
Right.
Why don't we use that? I feel like that's kind of like a solid reference, a 2,000-year-old piece of artwork. I don't know. Call me crazy. You know, I think that if it's withstood the test of time, we should probably use it. But on the other hand, he cast like Naputa Liango, a fucking like African woman. I think she's Kenyan. She's like super dark to play Helen, which is completely the opposite of what's written in the poem. And she puts like John Leguizamo in the movie. And also, what was the other thing they did? Oh yeah, and Elliot Page. I don't care what role she plays. I know it's going to be a dude. That's already wrong. Like, I'm sorry, Elliot, but you fucked up. You probably shouldn't get roles anymore if they don't involve you like explicitly playing a trans man.
Well, you know,
put her in the movie and pretend like that's not happening, you know?
Right.
So
and with what you're talking about, what it reminds me of is kind of like the commodified, homogenized food product industry, right? Where you go and you take things that were once based on something whole and substantial and, you know, just nutrients dense, and then you just go and say, oh, but no, we just need the flavor from it, so we're just gonna use an artifact and we'll just call it an artificial flavor, and we'll fill it with so much other fillers and bullshit and dyes and all the other stuff that's absolutely not essential, but we're going to market it to you as if it were a whole food, even though it's a food-like product. And that is this movie trying to tell you that it's an apple pie and not like one of those fucking whatever the hell they make at McDonald's to pretend to be one. You know, like this is not a masterpiece. This is a masterpiece TM. You know, like this is just something that mimics things of the past and is just trying to use artificial concepts, you know, to get all the other shit across. But if they go and they just put it on the wrapper and they make that nice and presentable, it doesn't matter what's on the inside is all terrible and not what you know bought this for, because they were trying to sell you something, not give you nourishment. You know, and so that's exactly where I see this movie is just the same kind of thing, where it's like it's taking something that is supposed to be, it's kind of like, you know, like healthy plant-based meat, right? That's made of all this synthetic fucking stabilizer bullshit and everything like that. Made in a lab. Right. And it's like somehow being marketed to you as actually being healthier for you when it has absolutely nothing to do with biochemistry and the way that things actually break down in your body, because it's been artificialized with all these weird fucking stabilizers and shit. This is just more of that in visual form. So
it's gonna be trash. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna watch it. But you know what? It'll probably make money because he won awards for Oppenheimer, and they're gonna be able to use that to market the film. I didn't watch Oppenheimer, didn't really care. It probably was really slow and boring. I haven't watched Nolan for a while. Like, I didn't watch Tenet because I didn't feel like being confused. Interstellar was just kind of like, it was okay. I think the last thing I kind of enjoyed was Inception, but like when I look back on it, I was like, yeah, this movie kind of has his head up his own ass. No, I would say the only ones I enjoyed was The Prestige, Batman Begins,
Memento.
The Dark Knight is fine. I think that there's a lot of like the Joker is basically a superhuman being in that movie. Like he teleports around. So it breaks the immersion for me. but I like Batman Begins and Prestige. But I think he's just a mid director. Like there's some stuff I like, there's some stuff I don't like. But he's basically like Hollywood's golden child right now as far as people go, because a lot of the classic guys like Lucas and Spielberg, they're getting up there. They're not able to produce like they used to. And I think Nolan's all they have. So, but what do you guys think? Do you have any Nolan movies you like? Do you think he's overrated? Do you think that I'm not giving enough credit? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, so I just think he's just like, this is going to be trash. And I'll sorry to burst your bubble. I'm about to kill a sacred cow right now. I also did not like the 2004 movie Troy either. I did not like it. I thought it disenchanted.
Yeah.
It was the Iliad really, but it disenchanted that as well, because again, they went out of their way to make a movie that was like, all the mythological stuff in this story, we're gonna remove everything and explain it with like logic and reason. We're gonna kill this movie. We're gonna destroy this movie with facts and logic.
Right.
And that's what they did.
Yeah, this is a more overt form of what they were doing in Troy with the stuff that I was just talking about like.
Well, it was just that was as far as they were able to go at that time.
Right.
Like, sure, the cast had a lot of white people in it and all that, but it's irrelevant. Like, Achilles was not actually immortal. He was just a really good fighter. And when he died from a bunch of other arrows, but one of them happened to be in his heel. And the implication is, look at how these stupid primitive Greeks, they must have come across it and said, that was the only way he could die. Like, it was like setting it up so that the myth was created after the events. And maybe Troy was never trying to do it. But I personally would have preferred, when I saw it was coming out back then, I wanted the Iliad. I wanted that adapted. I wanted the gods arguing with each other. I wanted monsters. I wanted all of that. And they did none of it. They basically tried to ground it in reality. I think that that's a mistake to do in general. Like, in my opinion, if somebody wants an adaptation of a myth, they want the myth. They don't want a realistic interpretation of the myth. So in my opinion, Troy was also a disappointment. I think this is going to be worse, but Troy was not great. Like, I did not enjoy that movie. My wife bought it. I don't know why she did. She bought it because she thought it was going to be like Gladiator. Okay. Right. Gladiator's fucking great. Gladiator never tried to be mythological though. It was it was grounded, but it was a story that wasn't based on something that would create expectations of something mythological. Right. So it did a good job of what it was.
I think that what we see with stuff like this, obviously, like, these are the projected manifestations of people who don't actually give a shit about the thing. So they have to find their way to even understand it and comprehend it as something they should give a shit about. And the only way for them to do that is to over-explain it away to where anything that would be mystical or magical or somewhat just kind of inspiring and, just beyond the rational kind of explanation of reason way to tap people into being immersed in a story. And they're like, no, can't have any of that because, everything has to be just pedestrian and mundane and you're not capable of anything unless you're, and so they just explain it all the way through, the demystification to dismantle the system. Yeah.
Yeah. Now for the worst part about Nolan's movie. The worst thing, the most, let's say, frightening harbinger of why this movie is probably going to be bad. It's not actually based on Homer's version of the story. It's based on an English translation by a feminist named Emily Wilson, who basically she was the first woman to do an English translation of the Iliad, or the Odyssey rather, the Odyssey. It's applying a feminist lens. They're basically putting, she did a translation, but she didn't just translate the movie. She did, you guys know what sensitivity readers are, right? You know what sensitivity readers are? She basically gave it the sensitivity reader treatment and made the female characters more prominent in the story and altered some things, changed some language around to basically highlight the more problematic parts for what they are as she interprets them. So that's actually what's being adapted.
She applied her understanding of media literacy.
Yeah,
because we're all
that's right.
too. Yeah.
So Emily Wilson is the person responsible at the end of the day. She is defined on Wikipedia as a British American, so it's the Brits' fault again. Classicist, author, and translator. Professor of Classical Studies at the University of Pennsylvania. Her translation of Homer's Odyssey became the first by a woman into English verse. Her translation of the Iliad was released in 2023, but this is the Odyssey. It is the Odyssey. I know some people saying this is the Iliad, but all the stuff involving the horse and whatnot is in the beginning. I think it's all front loaded to set up the Odyssey.
Why did they spell vandalism like translation? Because that's she didn't do any translation. She did vandalism of the word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cultural vandalism for sure. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's another really important detail is that Nolan isn't looking at like the way that the Odyssey has been translated historically. He's looking at the way that this specific woman chose to translate the story, which is through that lens, and he is adapting that.
Right. So what we're actually seeing is not
where simping gets you. This is where simping gets you.
Yes. This is not an adaptation of the story. It is an adaptation of the media literacy breakdown.
Yeah. And again, there's other things you could pick at, like the armor is like a lot of the armor is like in the wrong type. I think that Metatron did a video on it.
They call people daddy instead of father.
The language is all modernized. And this is what another thing about this that really is like, I think you should find it insulting. These people don't think that American audiences or like Western modern audiences can handle like old-timey speech and operatic performances.
They have no respect for you.
Musical scores like this, like there's not going to be, they're going to be hitting gongs and synths for the score, and it's probably going to be like killing your headphones because Nolan likes loud noises. So it's I don't know, man. I don't know. This is going to be bad. It's going to be bad. I'm sorry, guys, but this movie's cooked. And I think I've said everything I wanted to say about that. So let's move on to the next thing, but let me see what you guys are saying in the comments first. So let's see. I'm going to read through a few of these. I got a super chat from Dark Kikimora. Thank you, Dark Kikimora, who gives us $10. Appreciate that. Here, let me give you a sound for this. How about this one?
Destroy the child. Corrupt them all.
And he says, anyone interested in a toaster NTSC NES as a donation to the Badger Cave? 72-pin works, but I have a Famicom now. 10 to 20 NES games, including a Somari Repro. Don't know how ironic this comment is. I don't live up in the Badger Cave, Dark Kikimura, so I hope you know that. The Badger Cave is in buttfuck Canada, in the middle of Saskatchewan, in a very small town called Kelvington. I'm like in Virginia, in the southeast part of the U.S., so nowhere near there. And but I appreciate that. But I do have access to Nintendo games already. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Norwegian Black Templar says Unbunga of Somalia, the face that launched 1,000 ships in the opposite direction. Raging Rat says Spider Boy can't act though. Same for the Z chick. Yeah, no, they just put people in things now. They don't have to know how to act anymore. They're putting rappers and shit. Rappers that can barely speak. they're having them play characters. Like, I pine for the days when DMX was acting because he was so much better than these people now.
Travis Scott is one of the reasons people hated fucking WrestleMania. Not the one that just happened last month, but from last year. Yeah, he was one of the biggest sour notes in that whole symphony, and just went over like a brown noise. And yeah, he's not good. He doesn't really have talent, skill, or ability. He just has position.
No, nobody is. Nobody gets. Nobody's vetted. They just get placed in positions. Like they're just like you're the person now.
Yep.
Norwegian says if they want modern day bards, then look no further than power metal. Yes. Deadly Do Right says they need to treat it like Peter Jackson treated the Lord of the Rings. Yes, they're not going to though. That's way too much respect.
And unfortunately,
I think it is ultimately about destroying our Western history because like Homer's is like a part of that, you know.
Yeah.
So,
and unfortunately, I think in future times, in the not too distant future, unfortunately, a lot of the reverence that we have for Peter Jackson is going to be undone by his own ineptitude, by just going back to a project that he should have just left the fuck alone, because now it's just going to be a product. You know,
yeah.
We got Stephen Colbert kissing Pedro Pascal as the writer.
Pedro Pascal, the new man. He is the new man.
Right.
That's why. Yes, they want you gay, guys. They want you to be gay.
So,
Raging Rat says, "Yeah, that movie sucked." I'm right there with you, Brian. Yes, I mean, I wouldn't want to own Troy. I don't think it's like the worst thing ever, but like it's not the Iliad. That's all I'm saying. And I wish it was, because it was like one of those things. It was just like the Trojan War. I wanted Odysseus' story because that's my favorite story of the Greek stories, because it's the only one that doesn't have a demigod as the main character. It's not Heracles, it's not Perseus. It's a regular guy that's just smart. That's what Odysseus was. He was the Batman of ancient Greece. So he didn't have superpowers or anything. He was just really smart and knew how to deal with things. And it was fun to watch him, you know, go through that.
Yeah, he extols the virtues, you know, the values, actually, the principles and values of wisdom and discernment and rational, responsible thinking, and you know, not being reactionary, not being you know, like, so yeah, this is not what we're going to see.
100%.
I'm sure he's going to be flawed, and there'll probably be a whole group of people around him making all of his decisions for him, and you know,
he's going to get his ass kissed for this. Mario Ribarik says, at least Brad Pitt resembled Achilles, golden-haired and quick of foot. Yes. No, for sure. I think it was good casting. I just wanted, like, I wanted mythical things to happen in the movie, and I didn't get that. Botch TV says, it really disappoints me because the Odyssey is one of my favorite stories of all time. Side note, Gladiator is fantastic. Yes, I love the Odyssey. It is a great story, and it's also one that, you know, in terms of the pattern, it's been repeated many times. The journey home and all of the obstacles, you know, that like you come across. It's great. Ergo Proxy says, the saying about my grandfather rode a camel, my dad rode a car, I ride a helicopter, my children will ride a car, and their children will ride a camel. Well, that woman is trying to make it happen. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Mr. 0303 says the Odyssey is the quintessential adventure. Yes. Then he says the old Italian swords and sandals movies were great adaptations. That, you know, that's what I was going to say. Like, if you want to see a better version of the Odyssey, actually one of the ones that's the closest is actually like a TV miniseries starring Armand Assante. And look, it's a lower budget because it was for television. It has some you know, some janky CGI in it, but it does have all of the stuff that you want out of that story. And Armand Assante, like, he is very good in it as Odysseus, and he's a good choice because he's an Italian guy. Like that's the best, the close. If you can't get Greeks, get Italians. I'm just saying, get people from right around there. Get some Sicilians in that movie. Get some Greeks in there, and you're solid, man. And there's plenty of attractive Greek women.
I was going to say, isn't that the one, the version? It's got Isabella Rossellini in there.
I think so. Yeah,
fairly certain. And yes.
Yeah, I think so. I'll have to look it up, but yeah, I think that's the best version. And there's some Italian ones too that, you know, again, they may move some things around, but I think that more or less they get it right. Deadly Do Right says, sent you a DM of Symphony X, the Odyssey song. It's one of my all-time favorites, and I think anyone that likes metal and this story will appreciate the song. Okay. Well, thank you for the Rumble rant. I will look at it later. I can't go for too much longer now, and I got a lot of stories to get through. So, but thanks, guys. Let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments. we got to move on to the next story. So, Anita Sarkeesian is in the news again. And what for? So she made a post, but apparently she's not on X. So she's on Blue Sky, I'm guessing.
I would imagine.
Yeah, I would imagine. On X from the 2026 Game Developers Conference in San Francisco. In her post, she wrote that she goes to GDC every year, did not take many photos, but here's some proof of life. One of the photos shows her with members of Sandfall Interactive, the French studio behind Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
Yep.
Now, this
the
post
seduction
triggered
play is in effect.
Yeah, this post triggered a strongly negative reaction on X in particular. Many people expressed concern that her association with the studio could mean she's involved with whatever their next project might be, or she's acting as a consultant or advisor. But there's no evidence that she's working with Sandfall Studios at all. She may, and I think this is worth pointing out, she may just take the picture with them to
Poison the well.
as bait to get rage so that she can cry victim and make more money.
Right.
So, because she's very good at doing that. I don't know if you guys know. I don't know if you know this about Anita Sarkeesian, but she's really good at milking victimhood for cash. Like she got to go in front of the UN and shit like that. In fact, there is a 4-minute long video of her at a private event. Let me just grab it really quick because I have it here, where she talks about this, and we're going to give this a listen right now. Hold on a second. Let me share this tab instead.
Yep.
So first of all, with the Expedition 33 thing, again, it might not mean anything, but if Sandfall makes another announcement, I strongly suggest you look into it to find out if she's involved. That's all I would say, if you care.
There is always resistance to challenging the status quo. There's always resistance and backlash. So I think that maybe I can illustrate this with an example. So I don't debate people. For years,
No shit.
these
Clearly.
assholes on the internet are like, debate me. Like, I'll pay you 10 grand if you debate me, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, no. And the reason
Because I'll lose.
is because it is a lot harder. When you're perpetuating the status quo, you can use 2-3 words to get your point across. When you're challenging the status quo, you have to unpack the status quo and then provide a vision for the future and the alternative vision, right? So you are immediately in a losing position, right? Like you can't win that. There's no way. And so I think for me,
But they run
all
everything.
of the work that anybody
They
does
literally
is
are the
challenging
status quo.
Right.
to build more progressive, a more progressive, more social justice world is immediately confronted at every turn, constantly with that type of resistance.
Right.
It's a lot
But
of like,
Anita,
how do you phrase things in a way that is accessible to the largest audience possible while retaining the core of what you're trying to say without dumbing down what you're trying to say, right? I loved what Bell Hooks was such a huge inspiration to me when I started.
Bell Hooks is the
talked
worst.
about how she used pop culture in her classroom as a way to engage with students on issues of difference and transformative justice, and that she used accessible language, but she didn't ever reduce the she didn't ever like simplify what she was saying, right? It's not like she had to make her concepts and her theories less intellectual. She just figured out a new way to say it. And I think for me, in the bulk of my work in the past has been a lot of like, how do I phrase things in a way that I can get the most people to understand or to hear me or to get on board, right? I spent a lot of time thinking about, there's this
spellcasting.
This concept called the spectrum of allies. It's kind of like a half circle. And over here you have your closest, most ardent allies that will always be on board. And over here you have the people that want you to die and hate you and think you're the worst ever. And in the middle you have the people on the fence. And I spent most of my career talking to these people, right? Because they're the people who could go one way or another, and that can create a larger sort of cultural shift, right? As
So
we're
you look
talking
to
about
exploit
building a
people that
critical
are
mass.
naive and just wanting the thing.
Well,
But
she's not lying about anything that she's
Right.
saying here.
No,
she's telling
she's-
you this is the tactic the left
Right.
uses.
Right. This
He's
is the
not
most honest-
lying.
Yeah, this is the
He's
most honest
talking
thing anyone
to,
in
she's
the city.
using rhetoric and the fact that she's a woman, because that's, I'm sorry guys, but that's a big part of this, to get people to side with her.
Right.
And she's using like, you know, consensus from people who are already in power, like I said, the status quo,
Right.
to nudge people towards her side by framing her enemies as murderous, which is why she said the people who want to kill you. She's doing the technique right now while she's talking to the people in this conference call. She's actually propagandizing them as she's explaining how she propagandizes people.
Right, right. And she is quite literally the agent, representing the agency of the status quo by doing all this homogenization of you know, concepts and saying, oh, but we have to explain it away. And to, you know, it's like when I'm always talking about where you can find information is generally in the place that's the most boring and mundane, that most people don't even look at it, because that's what it is. They use their spell casting in this part of everything to talk to people that are more susceptible to not wanting to offend anyone or this or that. And so yeah, like her trying to act as though she's somehow this rebellious figure who's fought against the institutions. You are the institution. You are a manifestation of what the institution was looking for specifically. Like you're not, like, she's the furthest thing from somebody who's,
sure, of course, but
who's
she knows
trying
that
to
though.
take this
But she's
thing
really
out.
good
Yeah.
at framing.
Right.
She's really good at framing herself as the underdog. That's the most
Right.
important part of the grift, is to always be the underdog.
Yep.
But let me finish this. Yeah, she is the status quo for sure.
And
like it's evidenced by the fact that like I was saying at the beginning of this video at the stream, is that the people in the industry from AAA all the way down to indie, so it doesn't matter the size of the studio, they all want to elevate gaming this as some kind of higher art. That's how you do it. You make it a political vehicle for leftism.
Mhm.
That's how you elevate it, right? You can't make it transcendent. You can't make it like, you know, like, I don't know, based on the ancient Greek philosophers or the Bible, because those things are regressive and evil. They have to be elevated in a way that is actually not transcendent. It has to be something that is earthly and material, and in many ways, you know, just based in communism, essentially. So gay race communism packed in to all the video games. So anyway, I'm gonna let her finish her point.
Right.
But,
well, I was just gonna say really quickly, if she was everything she claimed to be, she wouldn't have been invited to the UN. She wouldn't be as successful as she is, because if you're actually rebellious in this space, doing the things that she's proclaiming that she specializes in, those are the people who actually get resistance. And you have not gotten anything close to resistance.
yeah, you haven't
Everything
been
has just been laid down in front of you.
Yeah, you haven't been Charlie Kirked.
Right.
So apparently, yeah.
there's a specific kind of language I would use to talk to them versus talking to people that are already on board, and I can use all the internal lingo and all the academic speak and all that kind of stuff, right? It's the preaching to the choir model. So I don't know. That may have been a tangent, but I think about that a lot in terms of what are the challenges, like, and even in your workplace, right? You think about, like, if you're trying to make change, or like ERGs are trying to do stuff, like, you have to think about how you present your message and how you talk about stuff. And you also have to understand that people are going to find you when they're ready. So
I
you're
want someone
planting
to
seeds,
take
right?
this video and
This
turn
is
it
really
into
good
warm
too.
tongue.
She's explaining that she plants seeds, and this is what, you know, this is how they work. They don't have to convince you in one go.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You could take this footage and just do a face change to being Worm Tongue from Lord of the Rings, and exact same thing, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
You're just like, you know, if you share a little snippet here and there, and somebody argues with you and whatever, and they come back 2 years later and they're like, oh, fuck, I know what you were talking about now. This happens to me all the time. I get so many messages from people who are like, well, I was a shitty Gamergator and I'm sorry and I know better now. And I think some of it is age. Like, not that Gamergate was only kids, but it's age. And it's also what we're talking about is this systemic shift that has happened over the last decade, that, like, while we've had extremely regressive politics and an extreme backlash to the progress, we have seen a progressive shift. Like, let me tell you, in the middle of 2020, when, like, the big Black Lives Matter protests were erupting, hearing mainstream people say the word white supremacy was a fucking shock, because as like activists, we were using the word all the time, but we would not use it in like mixed company, because people didn't understand that white supremacy wasn't just like Nazis, right? And the fact that that is now mainstream and we're saying that word and we're talking about capitalism, like it's not just the air we breathe, it is a system that could change potentially. Like this shift is happening, right? And so remember, you're planting seeds, right? And even if you get frustrated, and even if you're like, oh, why don't you like whatever, there is an opportunity for them over time to come around and to see, and be exposed to different ideas.
Especially when we limit their capabilities in life and the only options they have are the ones we put in front of them. They'll learn. Ugh.
Yeah, so well, again, this is being shared, it's viral everywhere. That clip is going around. I hope people realize that she's basically she's saying the thing that I've been saying that they're doing. She's just saying it. And obviously this is like a leaked thing from another conversation, but it's true. Like this is what the intersectional feminists want. This is what they're doing. They are moving toward. It's always been the goal. It was never about making media that people want to enjoy. It was never about escapism ever. Okay, it was only about the revolution. As I've always said, the thing is never about the thing. The thing is always a revolution. And anyone who's in the way of that has to be eliminated. Eliminated. We've already seen that. How many people have died? Not just Charlie Kirk. How many people have died? How many people have almost died? These people are violent. It's built into they're ontologically evil, okay? So we have to reckon with that as a reality. And these people, I mean, look, this could have just been a photo op and she just asked for a picture and they took one. I don't know. But I would say keep an eye on this studio.
Oh yeah, which is what we were saying back during the award ceremony, where it's like, be aware that the seduction play is at hand, because they're going to do everything they can to rope these people.
Yeah, and she always operates top down. The leftists always do this too. So it's true that they're trying to convince the people in the middle, but what they're also trying to do is, and what they're most successful at, is convincing people who generally believe that like liberalism is the way forward, and they use that as their way to get their foot in the door to drag them over to their side. And they only go after people who have influence, who can effectively change things from the top down. So they go to lawmakers, they go to the United Nations, they go to big AAA developers, they go to indie studios, they go to people who finance these things, like billionaire donors and things like that. And they go to the Colbert Report. This is what Anita has been doing forever. It's never been a different plan. It's always been the same. And they're going to keep doing that. So, unfortunately, as gamers, all we can do as individuals is warn people about it and vote with our wallets. It's all we have. So,
yeah, because otherwise, they'll be promoting the ideas of liberalism, through things such as, making the structure exactly what they want it to be, like through standardization and regulation and checkbox fucking bullshit. And if you want to be in contention for this award, you must do all of these things. It's not liberal by your own definitions. So that's the whole thing, is like these people are a fraud even unto the conceit of their own ideology by the way they go about doing things.
You might say they're a Trojan horse.
Indeed.
All right. So anyway, that's basically the story of that. Let me get your guys' comments, and we're going to move on to the next one. I think we still have time to do this and some cake. So, all right. Murderer Crow says, Anita, the stain that just can't be washed away. It's true. Ergo says she is the status quo. Absolutely. She would disagree, just like Sweet Baby Inc. does. Remember when they would say, we're just a little consulting firm. Yeah, shut up. It's your ideology.
That was funded by Ubisoft.
Yeah, but it's your ideology. It doesn't matter. Like, you guys could go out of business tomorrow, but we'd still have a problem with the ideology because it's everywhere. Right. That's the disease. You're just one of the, carriers. Mr. 303 says Wormtongue being a woman makes too much sense. Her mentioning GG is an admission that it was effective. Yes, and it still is. That's like they want to like up themselves. I don't think they're winning, but I do think they're in power. I mean, I think that they are the status quo, but that doesn't mean they're winning. Let's see. Orange Man, Bane of Karens. Yes. Somewhere out there, Thunderfoot is crying into a beaker. Yeah, the problem with Thunderfoot is that he just thought that it would be enough to debunk her claims, and that was just not thinking in the big picture sense of the problem isn't that. The problem is a set of ideas that he himself holds. So like he wasn't equipped to fight that regardless. She was excited to hate Europeans. Yeah. Apparently not Expedition 33 developers. If there was a shift, how was Trump elected so many times and the rise of the manosphere? Well, it's cope in a way. It's cope because I think that average people are not down with this stuff. You can already tell by the sales of Mixtape, which we talked about. You know, Deadly Do Right says, yes, the linguistic subversion to keep emotional reactions to concepts not represented by the term they are using as a Trojan horse. Nobafan says, for $1 on Rumble, thank you, Nobafan. Notice how they flipped the script. First it was black people never had a fair chance, let us in. Now it's us black people are famous. You would be a fool not to feature us. Well, yeah, because it's never about what makes sense. It's always about what gets us power, what gets us what we want.
Right.
So, let's see. Murder of Crows says bionic nagging. Ergo Proxy says white supremacy is capitalism. Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah, of course. I mean, again, you know, whatever buzzwords are necessary. That's what we're going to use. So, all right, let us know what you guys think in the comments. Okay, in related news, we learned that Zoe Quinn. So it's not just like Slay the Spire has association with Anita Sarkeesian, but Zoe Quinn has worked on State of Decay. So she worked at Undead Labs as a senior narrative designer from roughly 2021 to early 2024. She contributed to the development of State of Decay 3 for about 2 to 3 years. So this game is currently in development. Alpha playtests are going to be coming out this month. And I thought I would let you all know, I don't know if State of Decay is like a really big game. It sounds like another zombie game. But if you're interested, you probably want to know that she is involved.
Right.
So,
why do I get the feeling that this is going to be about empowering things like pride parades? And,
no idea.
You know, and trying to
zombies.
Right, and trying to justify the viewpoint of the rioter from all the recent Summer of Love events, and you know, like the stuff with the Free Palestine insanity from last I guess it was last spring, and all the this is they are totally taking something that has some level of people still know the name State of Decay. It's never been one of the biggest properties in gaming, but it's known well enough. But it's not extremely popular. That's why in 15 years they've only had 3 games. Actually, it's probably closer to 20 now at this point in time. I think I was working at Blockbuster when the first State of Decay came out on the original Xbox. So
State of Decay.
Yeah. So I get the feeling that they're going to use this as a vehicle to try to explain why it's important to be a rioter and how, you know, ICE is going to be. They will find a way to turn this into, you know, ICE is the worst thing ever, and that's my speculation. I could be wrong, but that's what my take is going to be on this for her involvement especially.
Daily reminder that Zoe Quinn falsely accused Alec Holoka, or at least like accused Alec Holoka without any evidence, and did not make a police report of raping her. And it alienated him, not just from all of his friends, but even like family members. And he ended up taking his own life out of depression. And he was an indie dev. So just reminding everybody that happened.
Yeah,
and that's real.
Her and his
it doesn't seem to
sister.
affect her career at all. She's like getting jobs, you know. It's like so.
Yeah, and oddly enough, after he took his own life. Unfortunately, his sister and Zoe
Yep.
inspired to work together to go about creating the funding models. That's
Yes, that's right. And I
that
think
we're
that
dealing
ended
with.
up creating Sweet Baby Inc. in a way because they
Mhm.
were part of that
Yep,
ghost,
yep,
ghost,
baby ghosts,
baby ghosts,
weird
and
ghosts, and
yes,
yeah. I got a whole thing on it. Like,
yeah,
way back
yeah.
when. Yeah.
It's an iceberg. The iceberg goes deep.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Let me see what you guys are saying about this one in the comments. Were you excited for State of Decay? Did you ever play those games before? Let me know what you guys think. Norwegian Black Templar says, who in their right mind would want this STD incubator anywhere near their dev team? She probably blew everybody, dude. Saltpeter Taffy says Zoe Quinn should be remembered only as the woman who goaded Alec Haloka into ending his life. I know. I'll wait for Stupid Never Dies. I don't know what that is. My chat didn't show up, Raging Rat. I played State of Decay 1 on the 360 arcade. Huh. I don't what is that game? I don't even know. I'll have to look it up. He says it was pretty good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments. We're gonna move on to the next story.
Yeah.
So I just learned this before the show started, but I thought I would mention it to you guys. Tonight on Netflix, we're gonna have Ronda Rousey fighting Gina Carano. So do you guys know about that? I know it was something that we were talking about. I was actually looking forward to seeing it, but it's gonna happen tonight. So I thought it could be fun, just like your typical like lesbian argument playing out on television on Netflix. Who are you rooting for? I'm naturally rooting for Gina Carano. I just wanted to win. I don't have a problem with Ronda Rousey. I'm anything against her, but I'm not. No, I won't pay for Netflix. I'm just at some point I'll get the highlights. Like, did you guys see? Was it last week that Strickland beat that Muslim guy in an MMA fight? You guys, it was a championship match. It was Don Strickland. I forget his name.
Sounds
and
vaguely familiar.
and he was up against like a Muslim guy who had been champion for a while, and everybody thought that Strickland was going to lose because I think he's a little bit like older, but he won the match. He's champion now. So I thought it was like, I didn't watch the fight, but everyone was talking about it, and I saw some highlights, and I was just happy for him. So yeah, we'll see how this one goes. I don't know. Let's see how it goes. So we have like their stats here.
Saying something about either doing like maybe either a watch along or maybe after the event.
Are you gonna be like
tonight? So I don't know. She said something about it like right as I was waking up this morning. It was one of those messages I was getting to right as I was getting ready. I'm like, so maybe tonight. I will more than likely see this at some point today, probably while it's happening, and either be commenting on it while it's happening in real time or.
And Ronda Rousey lost 100 pounds to get ready for this.
I mean Gina, yeah.
I mean Gina, yeah, Gina. Gina lost 100 pounds to get ready for this match, which is very impressive because she did it in a pretty short amount of time. Sean Strickland, yes, versus Hazmat Chimaev. Thank you, Ray Gabriel. Yeah, Sean Strickland won. I don't watch MMA stuff, but I gotta admit, when I was like looking at people talking about the highlights, it reminded me of the days when I used to watch pro wrestling when I was young. So a lot of excitement. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. You want to see how it goes? I'll look at some of your comments. Again, I'm rooting for Gina because she needs like some W's in her life right now. So I hope that she wins. Deadly Do Right says, man, if only I didn't have to pay for Netflix. Yeah, I feel that. Saltpeter Taffy says, girls on trampolines. Norwegian says, you can watch women fight for free at lesbian bars. Yeah, but they're not nice to look at. These women are at least nice to look at. Mr. 0303 says, Rhonda is an arrogant cunt. Deadly says, I hope Gina pushes Rhonda's shit in. Rhonda needs a reminder of why she got pushed out. Her ego. Wow. Raging Rat says, goodbye, y'all. I need lunch. Well, enjoy your lunch, man.
Indeed. Safe travels.
Mr. 0303 says, period blood for the blood god. Robert Johnson says, yeah, Hamzat was a sportsman about the loss. He put the belt on Strickland after the match. Yeah, I saw that. That was very cool. That was very based. Deadly says Gina was hot in Mando 1 and she lost 100. She's gonna be a smoke show. Yeah. Well,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
she was thick when she was like, I didn't mind that. Gabriel says I don't watch female MMA. Boyd MA. All right. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'll probably look at the highlights later if there are any. It might not be like super high energy. So, but all right, with that said, let's look at some cake. Thank you guys for your comments. First thing I want to show off is something pretty interesting. So, there is a you guys familiar with the game franchise Twisted Metal? Twisted Metal?
Of course,
Anybody?
yeah. Back
You
when
ever
David
played
Jaffe
Twisted Metal,
didn't
John?
suck. Yeah, back when David Jaffe didn't suck. Yes.
Yeah, back when David Jaffe had balls
Yeah.
and didn't give them to his daughter. So Twisted Metal was one of my favorite games. Like my friends and I would play it all the time. We play like versus mode. And I think there was a co-op as well. Even though we had played through many times, we just do it like, Twisted Metal 2, especially Twisted Metal 2 and Twisted Metal Black were like the ones I played the most. I played the original Twisted Metal. I played 2. I skipped 3 because it wasn't the same studio.
Right.
And I heard like mixed things about it.
Which is
I
why they
played
made Black, because it was supposed to be return to, kind of.
Yeah,
what the
no,
game's supposed
Black
to be.
was really good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and it was actually for the time, the graphics were very good for the time. On the PlayStation 2, I actually have, I want to say 2 versions of Twisted Metal Black. Like I have the disc and I also have it on PS3, like as a download, because they had classics you could buy, digital classics of Twisted Metal and some other games. And Miss 033 says the European version of Black was butchered. Oh, Black was really edgy though. Like that. Like I'll say, okay. The thing about Jaffe is he is an edgelord, a Generation X edgelord. In that he wants to say like show things that like trigger people in a way like God of War and all that. But it's in a way it's borderline cringy. And Twisted Metal Black is trying so hard to be dark. it's a bit cringy. Like when you look back on it. But like Mr. Grimm is a cannibal and like they're just like so over the top. But for games they were a lot of fun. And the only other game franchise that came close to being as good as that was a game called Vigilante 8. Oh, and then there was that one that was also made by the same team that was another vehicle game, Rogue Trip. Anybody remember Vigilante 8 or Rogue Trip? Anybody?
Vaguely. No,
Dude,
long time.
I had those too. They were fun, but Twisted Metal's the classic. Anyway, we know there hasn't been a new Twisted Metal game since Twisted Metal for the PlayStation 3, which was a disappointment because of the changes that they made with like essentially they made it to where the cars and the drivers were separate and it had like this multiplayer thing. And it just was like people didn't like it. And it came out at the end of the PlayStation 3 life cycle, which is kind of stupid because it could have been a PS4 release and it probably would have been a lot better and had like more of a let's say more people playing it, better online, things like that. Okay. It could have been great, but it was a disappointment. And I do have the PS3 Twisted Metal because I love that franchise. Anyway, so that being said, it doesn't look like that studio or Sony is going to do anything with the franchise, even though there's a TV series out that's like on its 2nd season. I guess the 3rd season is being worked on, but there's no games. So it's like, well, why are we doing that? Like, who's this for? Why isn't there a game for it? Maybe they're working on something, but if it isn't like the same guys, it doesn't have to be Jaffe because he's cooked. But like, if it isn't the same guys that brought us like Twisted Metal 2 and Twisted Metal Black, then do I even want it? Fortunately, though, we have a fan who got a bunch of other fans together and they made their own Twisted Metal game, and you can get it for free right now. It's called Twisted Metal 5 or Twisted Metal V, and here's the trailer for it. Wait, hold on. There's no music. I gotta stop and reshare it.
Yeah.
Give me a second. Sorry about this. I hate this when it happens, but I don't know if there's much I can do about it.
Yeah,
all right.
It is what it is.
Take a look.
Yeah.
Axel.
Right?
That's the most ridiculous character these days. Environmental effects. There was like a demon with an axe running around.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. This looks like a great labor of love.
It is.
Yeah.
So, Twisted Metal is going to have well, it's already out. So it's out. You can just look up Twisted Metal 5 and you'll find the trailer. And in the description for the trailer, you'll find a place to download it. So you can just get the game for free. It has over 50 characters and vehicles. It has like a shit ton of levels. Every driver, all 50 something characters had their own story endings, complete with voice acting. It has a tournament mode, and all of the combat vehicle gameplay you've come to expect, with special attacks, weapons, power-ups, and even like the input attacks. I don't know if you guys remember the old Twisted Metal games. They had like you could put inputs in and do like special shots, because David Jaffe wanted to take his vision was to take like fighting game mechanics and apply them to vehicle combat. So it has like fighting game mechanics in it in a way, right? And it was built from the ground up by one guy named Angel V. Mendez. And then he had a bunch of volunteers come on that helped him with all the other things, the music, the writing. They wrote the stories for all the characters, the artwork, and audio, and other audio contributions. It is available as a free download on the YouTube channel. The only problem is, unfortunately, there is no multiplayer or online components, because it doesn't have multiplayer or online, but it has single player stories and like other things that you can play on your end. The reason for this is because he would have to rebuild the entire game, and I guess he just isn't, despite all of the heavy work he put into it, he even recently put in like a big graphic upgrade. He just isn't like able to do that. So maybe some hero will come along that understands how to add like those features, and they will give this a massive overhaul that includes that. But this is probably like the biggest Twisted Metal thing you're going to get in a while. So if you're interested, I mean, we can't play it together, but if you just want to play Twisted Metal for free and have all the characters, and not just all the characters from previous games, but a bunch of new ones and a bunch of unlockable bosses and a shit ton of levels, then yeah, I mean, I would say check out Twisted Metal 5.
Yeah, and it's like the very definition of a passion project rather than a corporate product. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely check out Twisted Metal. It looks good. I'm going to download it after this stream is over, because I'm really curious about it. All right, let me see what you guys are saying, and then we're going to move on to the next thing. Gabriel says, Rhonda used to boast about beating one of her ex-boyfriends and thought she could beat Mayweather. Oh, shit. Wow. Deadly says, women's MMA is more bloody than the guys, in my honest opinion. Deadly Dude right then says, dude, I played a ton of V8. I know you meant to say 8, right? Because that's the asterisk. But Vigilante 8 on N64. Me too. I like the guy. There was a guy who, I forget what he had. I think it was like a van or like a camper or something, and he would summon UFOs. That was a weird game. I love the 70s aesthetic it had. Yeah, Vigilante 8 was great. Saltpeter Taffy says Cell Damage was a good game in that vein for the GameCube. Oh, I didn't know there was another car combat game.
Yeah, there's also a Carmageddon at the time as well.
Well, Carmageddon, wasn't that just like a Demolition Derby type of thing?
Yeah. It was much more. It was very modest compared to Twisted Metal, and I think technically you could probably even say Blast Core to some degree on Nintendo 64 way back.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
John Ford says Twisted Metal was on PSP as well. Yes, Twisted Metal PS3 made Mr. Grimm black. Was he black? I can't remember. I just know he wore like a skull. Oh, the PS3 one. Yes, you're right. He was. I was thinking about Twisted Metal Black for PS2, where it was like a guy wearing another man's skull as a faceplate. Very Pantera vibe to that music. Mr. 03 says looks awesome. Why spend $90 on AAA garbage when you can just download this? Yeah, you'd be playing by yourself, but still. You Wrong says Sony killed Twisted Metal because they wanted to save money. That's why this franchise died. They laid off everyone that cared about it and quietly killed it. Oh, that sucks, man. Maybe they should do a spiritual successor or make a sequel to Rogue Trip. Rogue Trip was pretty good too. I don't know if you guys remember that one, but that was a car combat game. I remember one character was a guy driving like one of those like giant hot dog cars in it, and the hot dog would lift up and slam down on people. It was a very silly game. It had like the mighty boss tones in the soundtrack, the ska band.
Yeah,
so,
he does make a very valid point though about it being killed because yes, it was too toxically masculine.
Probably, yeah. Ergo says the team making the game can be different, but they need to have the same spirit motivating them for sure. Mr. 303 says, I want to see more of this. Fans reviving franchises because they care. Absolutely. Well, they've like I already said, I mean, not that it's a problem, but I already talked about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Last Survivor, which is sort of like the arena combat game, not fighter. That is sort of like Fortnite, but it has like JoJo characters that somebody managed to get the whole thing off of like the arcade machines in Japan and just make it available here. And it's also free and you can play online with people.
Yeah, so and there is very much an emerging trend of people using AI coding software to help them make ROM hack games, basically. So there are going to be a lot of free sequels to things that you enjoy coming out in the near future by people who actually give a shit about the thing and not necessarily making money. They just want to have good games.
Yeah. Gabriel says Grimm was a human in black and PS3. He was literally death in the others. Yeah, they would change the canon in every game almost. When I played Twisted Metal, I mained Mr. Grimm. He was my main from the beginning because I was like, oh, I want the guy in the motorcycle because everyone else is driving trucks and cars, and I'm gonna get the guy in the motorcycle. Like that seems like I don't know, just right up my alley, like challenge wise. But I also really liked Hammerhead, which was like the 4x4, like the monster truck. It was a monster truck that you could like run people over with. Yeah. That was another favorite. A friend of mine would always play Spectre. I hated that car because it shot missiles that were guaranteed to hit because they were homing and they would go through walls. Yeah. I hated that car, but yeah, was another one I liked. There was in Twisted Metal Black, there was a guy who drove a hearse, I think it was. No. He drove like a church car. Like he was like a zealot, and like he would throw like followers, like cult members, and they would land on the car and explode. Like they would like be suicide bombers. It was a lot of fun. I love those games. So I'm definitely gonna download this. It's sad that it's not multiplayer because that was like one of the best things about it when I used to play it. So. All right. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Again, if you want the link, I put it in the Discord server in the Hype Train room. Nice. And in there, you should see the YouTube video, and in the description of that video is a link to download the game. So check it out.
Indeed.
All right. Next up, we have a trailer that I think is exciting for a little movie called Highlander, starring Henry Cavill and Russell Crowe. And this looks pretty good. So I don't know if you guys like Highlander, but here we go.
I have died 100 times. And every time, the world just keeps going. Wondering if there's the same.
There are others like us, MacLeod, scattered across every century.
How many?
Few now. That is the point. One of them did that.
Was that Grandma Tarkin?
Right? You look kind of like him.
He enjoyed
Dude.
every moment of it. And now, he's coming for you. We are not the same, MacLeod.
In the end, there is no prize, no glory. There is only the one who remains.
Yeah. So got obviously Cavill is taking the role of Christopher Lambert as Connor.
Yes.
Russell
So,
Crowe's
yeah,
Ramirez and Batista is going to be the Kurgan.
the Kurgan, yeah. So look, not a fan of Batista. He said some dumb shit, but I like.
hey,
Henry
you're gonna watch
Cavill.
him get
I
his
like
head
Henry
removed.
Cavill a lot, so I'm gonna give it a shot.
Right, not to spoil anything, but the movie's nearly 40 years old. It's like 35 years old, but yeah. Batista,
I mean,
Batista
look.
won't be around for a sequel if they get around to one.
The Highlander is a really weird franchise. Like it's only the first movie is good, honestly. Like The Quickening, I didn't see. but I
Diminishing
remember-
returns. So
Huh?
yeah. Oh, this is another one of those rabbit holes. Yeah, Highlander. The movie's definitely diminishing returns. The Renegade version of The Quickening is probably a little bit better because they take out the stuff with the
Oh,
planet.
the
size.
Renegade version? Yeah, I don't know anything
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
But like I hear the TV show was good. Like people watched it.
right.
But that was like a different. And then they made. Well, here's what my thing with the Highlander is. The casting is weird. Like they got Sean Connery to play Ramirez, the Egyptian,
The Egyptian Spaniard, right?
the Scottish guy to play the Egyptian Spaniard, who doesn't. By the way, he doesn't even try to change his accent. He's just like.
Yeah, I'm Sean Connery, bitch.
What is this haggis that you eat? And then they get the French guy to play the Scottish guy, like, and Christopher Lambert's just a weird looking dude. Like, I mean, he's almost all eyebrow, like just like the brow ridge. And I don't.
He
I
looks
mean,
like he's
I like
always
the movie,
exasperated.
but
It's
it's
pretty
really
good.
weird. Like, so what?
I say he always looks like he's exasperated. Like, what the fuck? It's like kind of like every moment of it is just like.
I don't know why Christopher Lambert got work. I don't dislike him, but he's just a strange guy. But and then I think everybody's good in it. Like the original Highlander, I love it. Then there was the one with Mario Van Peebles. I think that was like the third one,
Yes,
and I was.
That one has a couple, and that's the thing too. Is like the only one that actually still has its original name is the original Highlander, because the Quickening became the Renegade version because of the whole bunch of back end accounting bullshit. Highlander 3 is known as either the Final Dimension or the Magician, depending on what part of the world you're in, or like and then there's Endgame.
Endgame, yes. Where they
which
put
was
the show and the movies together, and they put like, is it Connor McLeod? Is that his name?
Connor and Duncan, and Connor takes the backseat to Duncan, and it's just like they completely undermine his character. And,
and there's this move called the End Game, and the guy's got the sword behind his back of his head, and I'm like, what am I looking at? I mean, look, I don't know. Like, I love a good B movie. Like, I'm very forgiving on that, because I think ultimately you get B movies when you have like people that just want to see something wild on screen, and they can't pitch it to like big studios because they're like, well, no one's going to watch that. So they just make it on their own. And I find that admirable. You could not pitch Highlander as a concept before it became a thing, like a cult classic, You can't pitch that. Like, yeah, we want like Scottish immortals that are like trying to decapitate each other to get their power, absorb their essence, and become stronger. Why? It's just cool. Like, I just want to see a bunch of duels with different kinds of sword fighting, because that's what it is, really, right?
Mhm.
So, I think Henry Cavill's great. I recently saw like when he was making the Highlander movie. He's working on it. I think he was in. I don't remember what part of the world. It was in Europe somewhere, I think. And he was gifted a complete like Warhammer 40,000 Custodes set, and there was a photo of his excitement because he's such a nerd for that shit. And that, I mean, for that, I just admire him. Like, I just like Henry Cavill. So, and he also is somebody who seems to really care about like loyalty to source material. He's one of the few people in Hollywood that care about that stuff. Hence him leaving The Witcher, because they kept like, you know, straying from it and killing it because it's basically dead now. And his issues with Superman, his issues with other things. For some reason, it fails to remember. But I know The Witcher was like a big one, and Superman, and his like interest in doing a Warhammer project. You know, that tells me that he's at least going to be like, we have to treat this right? Because Warhammer, at the end of the day, it is about the lore and getting that right. So I'm excited for Highlander, to be honest. I would watch that. All right, let me see what you guys are saying really quick, and then we're going to go on to the last trailer, and then we got to quit. So, You Wrong says, well, Sony bought out Single Track Studios and gave it to 989 Studios. Those are the guys who made Twisted Metal 3. Made a flop because they fired everyone that made it great, then axed the 989 Studios because it flopped. Standard Sony. And I stand alone hoping for the return of Snowboard Kids. SSX tricky, right?
Right.
Master Goa says, I like the Highlander show, but never watched the movies. Ergo says, Brian, did you see the first episode of Steel Ball Run? Yes, of course. But I'm gonna wait until September to watch it regularly when it comes back on. Let's see. There can be only one. Yes, the best thing. Gabriel says there's a Highlander PS3 360 game that got leaked fully playable recently. Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. Mr. 0303 says Sean never does accents. In The Hunt for Red October, he was a Scottish Russian, a Russian submarine commander. When he was in The Untouchables, he was a Scottish Irish cop. Not that I can tell the difference, because the Irish and Scottish sound the same to me. But all right. Well, anyway, let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. All right, last one we're gonna look at is this movie from Laika Studios. Laika Studios are the stop motion animation team that gave us Box Trolls, Coraline, Paranorman, and Kubo and the Two Strings. They're basically among the best, like in terms of animated. They're not going to win awards because they never do, at least not enough for them. But let's take a look at this. This is called Wildwood.
He's gotta go outside sometime.
No, he doesn't.
Promise me you won't leave the house. I promise we won't leave the house.
I'm slowly drifting to
just want my brother.
It's pretty enchanting. It's like you can see all the talent, skill, and ability from their days of doing stop motion in a CGI. Like they give the attention to detail and just those individual frames and whatnot that's going on. And that's wow, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, these guys are fucking insane in their ability to do stop motion and make it look like CGI. There might be a little bit, I don't know, but there might be a little bit of CGI helping. I don't want to give them all the credit, but they are very good. Unfortunately, it takes them so long to make a film and it costs them a lot of money. They don't get a lot of support. So they remain, despite the fact that all they do is make hits. Like they're basically Pixar when it was, in its prime, like back when it was like new. They are kind of that now, and all their stories are very good. Like they're good for adults or kids. They don't sugarcoat things, So the story follows a young girl named Prue who enters a hidden magical forest called the Impassable Wilderness to rescue her kidnapped baby brother. That's all we know. It looks like she goes to another world, kind of like Wizard of Oz, to rescue her brother, and everything else. I mean, I had no idea. And the trailer, it does just that. It basically creates a sense of, what is this about? I want to watch the movie to find out. I don't know what you guys think. Is this something you'd be interested in? But that is Wildwood by Laika Studios. They have an excellent track record. I love Paranorman, and I love Kubo and the Two Strings. I think Kubo and the Two Strings is my favorite movie. A lot of people like Coraline. I think Coraline's good, but none of their movies are bad. But like Kubo and the Two Strings, and they get dark too. Like they get pretty dark, but they're really good at balancing it out so that it's not too dark and not like just trying to be edgy, but also not too like it respects the audience's intelligence.
Yeah. Didn't they also do the Island of Dogs or?
No. That was
it was also that was the people who did Fantastic Mr. Fox, I guess. Yeah,
that was Wes Anderson that made that.
Yeah.
So so anyway, let me see what you guys say about that, what you guys think about it. Are you gonna check out Wildwood? Are you interested in Highlander? Because I mean we're gonna get trashed like the Odyssey. We might as well know what's out there that could be interesting or exciting. I think Highlander is going to be solid. I think Wildwood is going to be great. I'm not even worried about that one. Yeah. All right, so let's see what you guys are saying, and then we'll wrap it up. So, Ergo says there can be only one movie. Norwegian says, I have no idea what this is supposed to be about. That's the point. Gabriel says they sound completely different. This is why Yanks get made fun of. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't have the full context. John Ford says, I got to see Coda live at Anime Convention. Then on Saturday, I got to meet him. That's cool. Norwegian says CGI is fine as a touch-up tool.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. 303 says, I wonder who was the guy trying to commit suicide. Yeah, that again, they get you. Like, what is this about, right? Very interesting. All right. So thanks, guys, for all your comments on that. I do have to get out of here because I got like a hard stop and I still went over somehow. So, John, let us know where you're going to be this week.
Yeah, in the interest of time, I'll just say that I'm going to head over and join in with Will's live stream here in a second, and I can give you any further details beyond that. But I do want to thank everybody who joined in to hang out with us to start off the morning or at the end of the day, wherever you're at in the world, and all times in between. We do appreciate all the likes, shares, follows, reposts, donations. Any way that you show us support, we are very greatly appreciative here. And always great time having these conversations with you at the end of the weekend. But of course, that said, y'all have a wonderful weekend going forward. Safe travels ahead. Be awesome as always.
Okay. Well, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys think about what we talked about in the show today, and share the video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on this episode of the Week in Culture, and we will talk to you guys in the next one. Long live Vivian.
King Xerxes offers his respect, ma'am. All he asks is that Sparta kneels a simple bow and your people will be spared.
Don't call me ma'am.
My apologies, miss. Xerxes is generous. He only wants your loyalty. Surely even a delicate thing like yourself can understand that.
I said don't fucking misgender me!
Ma'am, calm down. No need to get emotional.
It is so!